and gestational diabetes. Aunt Mary, would you talk about the causes or you've talked about it?
The causes, well, the causes is what I explained, but then with the gestational diabetes, the causes, as the as you have the baby in your womb, there's something called placenta might produce hormones, certain hormones, and those hormones might sort of it might sort of like precipitate, or it might sort of like um, help with the resistance. I talked about how the body might get resistant to insulin. So those hormones sometimes also cause or push the body to resist the insulin.
Oh, okay. Okay. So who are or who is at risk of getting diabetes?
Okay, so I'll talk about the different types. For type 1, the major thing is if there's a family history of type 1 diabetes. Family history, I mean, if your father or your mother has type 1 diabetes, it is most likely that you would also have it. That is one. And then two, um, if you have issues with the pancreas, what I mean by issues, if there's an accident or illness that affected your pancreas, it affects the way pancreas is supposed to produce insulin. And then again, we can also talk about auto antibodies about. As I said, the reason why they attack is not known. But then if your body fights against the cells of the pancreas, it can also cause type 1 diabetes. So, well, I wouldn't say it's a risk factor sort of. It's a risk factor sort of if you have the auto antibodies. And then if you have some conditions, or should I say diseases, that are caused by viruses, the viruses are likely to also attack the pancreas and then cause the insulin not to be produced. Then when we come to type 2 diabetes too, as I said, for the type 1 diabetes, if any of your family members also has type 2 diabetes, it's very much likely that you also have diabetes. And then if you have high blood pressure, if you have high blood pressure, the likelihood for you to also have diabetes is very high. Being overweight, if you are overweight, the likelihood of you having diabetes too is
It's
very high.
very
And then if you are physically inactive, you don't exercise every time, even to walk sometimes is a problem for you, the probability of you having diabetes
it's
is high. Yes. And then over the age of 45 and above, being over the age of 45 and above is a risk factor for diabetes. Yes, gestational diabetes too, as I said earlier. If you've had gestational diabetes before, the probability of you having type 2 diabetes is
it's
high.
high.
Yes.
Okay.
Smoking. One who smokes too. If you smoke too much, in fact, if you there's the risk of you having diabetes. These are some of the risk factors for that.
Okay. So Aunt Mavi, I know that when you go to the hospital, and then whether you have diabetes or not, sometimes they do check your fasting blood sugar or your random blood sugar just to be sure whether you have diabetes or not. Can you tell us a little about it?
Okay, so when you go to the hospital, sometimes you see them pricking your hand with a needle and then taking blood into this device, sort of. That device is called a glucometer. It's supposed to measure the amount of glucose in
Glucose
your
in your
blood.
blood.
Now, that FBC that our, I'm sorry, FBS that our sister mentioned, it's fasting blood sugar. That one is done when you haven't eaten. Usually it's done in the morning. When you haven't eaten at all and then you visited the hospital, they use the FBS. And then the RBS, that's random blood sugar. It is used when you've eaten. That is if you've not eaten, and then after eating, 2 hours after eating, it shouldn't be more than 8 millimoles per.
If you are sick or you have a condition, there are signs and symptoms that you show that will make you know that I have disease A or disease 2. So coming back to our diabetes, what are some of the signs and symptoms that one will exhibit for you to arrive at arrive that the person has diabetes? What are some of them?
Okay. The most common I would say is you see usually you'd feel thirsty a lot, frequent thirst. Almost every time you are drinking water. You drank water just this minute, in the next 5 minutes, as
You
it's
want
pumped out the
more?
way. Yes, so that one is one. And then frequent urination too. You're urinating a lot. It's also a symptom of diabetes. Then fatigue or extreme tiredness. You've not even done anything,
But
and
you
then
are
it's like you're
tired.
already tired. It's a symptom. Then blurred vision. It's like sometimes I say you're seeing things too, and it's not that clear. It's also a symptom of diabetes. Then sometimes this is also quite common. Some people go to the hospital and they will be like, doctor, or something like that,
Numbness.
numbness, exactly. So it can affect the feet, it can affect the hand. So numbness is also a symptom. And then dry mouth. Sometimes you feel like your mouth is extremely dry. It's also a symptom of diabetes.
Diabetes.
And then infections, certain infections in women per se, in women, yeast infections, all these yeast infections, some people tell you, I say, white tea, me treat tea, as I have a view. And now there's this infection that I treated right now, and then it's already coming. It's um how do I put it? It's frequent.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now that we know the signs and symptoms of diabetes, right now if somebody is being diagnosed of DM or diabetes mellitus, what are some of the treatments?
Okay.
How can you treat the person?
Okay. I want to say that diabetes does not have a cure, but then it can be managed. That's how we usually put it. We
Okay.
say it is managed. So there are a lot of ways you can manage diabetes. First of all, I'll talk about food, the meals you eat. We just talked about how when you ingest carbohydrates, it's broken down into glucose. We say it is managed. So, vegetables, whole grains, beans is also very good. Fruits. Then we have some things we call some fats we call healthy fats. Olive oil, oil gotten from fish, gotten from nuts. Those ones too are healthy. So you can also decide to include that in your diet. Um, for these diets, those that have diabetes, it's very much advisable to go to the hospital and talk to a nutritionist about the diet. The nutritionists are the ones that know very well how to help you plan your diet, what you should eat at this time, you should eat at this time, what you should eat at that time. So meal is one very good way of managing diabetes. Where you need French fries and chicken, all these things you have to according to diseases. You might ask how exactly it's managed. When it comes to medication wise, for the type 1 diabetes, they usually take insulin. Another name for type 1 diabetes is insulin dependent
Yeah.
diabetes. So they are constantly, every single day, taking insulin. And then for type 2, you can be asked to take insulin and or, when I say and or, the insulin can be taken with medications or just medication. Yes. And the last thing I would want to say is diabetes is one condition that has to be taken very
Serious,
seriously.
very serious.
And the result, if you have it and you are given medications, or you are supposed to take insulin, take it at the right time and then in the right quantity that the doctor ordered you to take it.
Okay, now another thing I would like to add is that we've said a lot today. So if you know you have diabetes, you have to include loads of vegetables in your food. Vegetables is going to help, and then fruits such as orange is also good. You can include watermelon is also good, guava. They are all good sort of fruits you can be taking. And then you have to take in more fiber, and then the greens always say the ios. And there was a time we used to, I think we used to say it, if you know you are diabetic and then you want to take, let's say, plantain contomere, you don't take the plantain plenty and then the contomere should be small. It should rather be the other way around. Just some few plantain and then more of the contomere or the guard or whatever stew you are going with. That is going to fill you up and is going to help you with the condition. And then another thing is some of the foods, as she said, you have to reduce, and it's going to help. If you are diabetic, you don't have to go to you don't have to go for an outing and be fighting over Coca-Cola and other things. No, it's not healthy. You don't need all those things in your system. And lastly, drink water. Water is life. Take lots of it and it's going to help you. And if you don't have, and we pray you don't also get it, please, let's also be cautious of our health, because as we said, it's hereditary. You never know your great grandparents who had diabetes. We didn't come to meet them. So in order for you to be safe, just tread cautiously and then take good care of your health. As you always say, your health is your wealth. Auntie Mary, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Whenever
Thank
we
you for
need
having me.
you, you always come and then you help us. Viewers, so that is how we end today's show. And we promise to come back again with lots of health issues. Please take good care of your health. I would also say that once a while, don't fall sick before you go to the hospital. At least once in every 3 months, go to the hospital, do medical checkups, and it's going to help you. So, lovely viewers, that is how we bring our program for today to an end. So, it's been a lovely day. Thank you for watching.